The hilarious way Michael Weatherly got out of doing a bunch of background work on NCIS. For more than a decade, fans tuned in to watch the adventures of the NCIS team, and one of the biggest reasons for the show's success was the irresistible charm of Tony DiNozzo. Played by Michael Weatherly, Tony was quick-witted, endlessly sarcastic, and always ready with a joke at exactly the wrong moment. What many fans loved most about Tony was how effortlessly funny he seemed. Whether he was teasing McGee, driving Gibbs crazy, or attempting to impress Ziva with one of his ridiculous movie references, Tony had a way of turning even the most serious situations into comedy gold. But according to a fictional behind-the-scenes tale that has become the stuff of studio legend, Weatherly's greatest comedic performance may not have happened in front of the camera at all. It supposedly happened on a random Tuesday morning during the filming of an NCIS episode. And it all started because nobody wanted to do background work. The production schedule was packed. The crew had spent days preparing a major sequence set inside the bustling NCIS headquarters. The scene required dozens of agents, analysts, technicians, and support staff moving through the building in the background while the main cast delivered crucial dialogue. Normally, productions hire background actors for this kind of work. Unfortunately, several scheduling conflicts created an unexpected problem. Many of the extras booked for the day were unavailable. The production suddenly found itself short-handed. The assistant director gathered everyone together. "We need bodies." Nobody liked hearing those words. Crew members immediately looked at the floor. Production assistants became fascinated by clipboards. Even some cast members suddenly remembered very important places they needed to be. The assistant director continued, "We need people walking through the background of multiple scenes. It should be easy." Easy. That word never convinces anyone. Because on a television set, easy often means standing around for 8 hours pretending to walk from point A to point B. The assignment quickly became known as the endless hallway mission. People would need to repeatedly cross the same corridor over and over again. The camera would roll, someone would walk by, the scene would reset. Then everyone would do it again. And again, and again, and again. Nobody was excited, especially Michael Weatherly. According to the fictional story, Weatherly had already filmed several scenes that morning. He was energetic, he was in a great mood, and he absolutely did not want to spend the rest of the day pretending to be NCIS employee number 17. The moment he heard the announcement, he reportedly leaned toward a nearby crew member. "There has to be a better way." The crew member laughed. "There isn't." Weatherly shook his head dramatically. "There is always a better way." The crew member should have recognized that look. It was the look Tony DiNozzo got whenever he was about to create chaos. A few minutes later, background assignments began. Names were being written down. People were being selected. The assistant director was moving efficiently through the list. Then something strange happened. Whenever the assistant director approached Weatherly's side of the set, Weatherly somehow wasn't there. At first, nobody noticed. Television sets are busy places. People constantly move around. Someone assumed he had gone to makeup. Someone else assumed he was rehearsing. Another person thought he might be speaking with the writers. The assistant director continued searching. Still no Weatherly. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. The search became more serious. Eventually someone spotted him. Or at least they thought they did. A figure was sitting quietly in a distant corner of the set. The person wore a baseball cap pulled low over their face. A large script completely covered their features. They appeared deeply focused. The assistant director approached, slowly, carefully, suspiciously. "Michael?" No response. The assistant director moved closer. "Michael?" Still nothing. Finally, the figure lowered the script. It wasn't Weatherly. It was a lighting technician. The technician looked confused. "Can I help you?" The assistant director sighed. The search continued. What nobody realized was that Weatherly had already launched phase 2 of his plan. Somewhere else on the lot, he had apparently convinced several crew members to participate in an elaborate prank. Whenever someone asked where he was, they received a completely different answer. "He's in wardrobe." No, he's in editing. I just saw him near the parking lot. He's rehearsing. I think he's on stage 4. He went to lunch. It's 9 in the morning. Early lunch. The conflicting information created total confusion. People began wandering across the studio searching for him. The legend grew, the mystery deepened, and Weatherly remained missing. By midday, even members of the cast had become involved. Sean Murray reportedly heard about the situation and found it hilarious. One version of the story claims he spent several minutes helping spread misinformation. Another version claims he simply sat back and enjoyed the chaos. Either way, nobody seemed particularly motivated to help locate Weatherly. After all, nobody wanted background duty. Then came the breakthrough. A production assistant finally discovered him. Sort of. The assistant entered an unused conference room set. Inside sat 3 chairs, a fake plant, several prop folders, and one very familiar actor. Weatherly was wearing reading glasses. He had arranged paperwork across the table. He appeared extremely busy. The production assistant stared. "What are you doing?" Without looking up, Weatherly replied, "Important NCIS business." The assistant blinked. "You're hiding." "I'm conducting an investigation." "Into what?" Weatherly finally looked up. "Whether background work is truly necessary." The assistant couldn't stop laughing. Unfortunately for Weatherly, the assistant director was summoned. Moments later, the assistant director entered the room. There was silence. Weatherly smiled. The assistant director crossed their arms. Weatherly smiled wider. The assistant director remained completely expressionless. Weatherly slowly removed the reading glasses. "So?" The assistant director nodded. "So?" Weatherly considered his options. Then he pointed dramatically at the paperwork. "I've uncovered a conspiracy." "No." "A major conspiracy." "No." "A conspiracy involving hallways." "No." "Possibly international hallways." "Michael?" "Fine." The assistant director sighed. "You need to help with background work." Weatherly immediately launched into negotiations. "What if I perform additional scenes instead?" "No." "What if I rewrite dialogue?" "No." "What if I organize craft services?" "No." "What if I solve an actual crime?" "No." "What if I become background work management?" The assistant director paused. Weatherly sensed opportunity. "You see, now we're talking." The assistant director shook their head. "We're not talking." For a moment it appeared the battle was over. Weatherly would finally join everyone else. The hallway mission would claim another victim. Then inspiration struck. According to the fictional legend, Weatherly suddenly proposed an alternative. Instead of placing cast and crew members throughout the background, he suggested creating a series of comedic visual moments featuring the same small group of people repeatedly passing through scenes in increasingly ridiculous disguises. The idea was absurd, completely absurd, and somehow everyone loved it. The crew started laughing. The assistant director laughed. Even people trying to stay serious began smiling. Suddenly the mood on set changed. What had seemed like a tedious day became a game, a challenge, an opportunity for creativity. Soon volunteers appeared everywhere. People wanted to participate. A prop technician became 3 different background characters simply by changing hats. A production assistant wore fake glasses in one take and a mustache in another. Someone carried different folders every time they crossed the frame. The game became spotting repeated appearances. The crew started competing to create the funniest disguises. And at the center of it all stood Michael Weatherly, not doing background work, directing background work, or at least pretending to. He appointed himself Executive Vice President of Hallway Operations. Nobody knew what that meant, including Weatherly. Especially Weatherly. He began issuing fake instructions. "Agent Mustache, proceed to Corridor 3. Clipboard team, increase walking speed by 12%. Coffee cup division, maintain tactical awareness." People laughed so hard that several takes had to be restarted. The joke spread across the set. Every time someone passed through the hallway, Weatherly delivered another ridiculous briefing. Before long, cast members started joining the fun. Imaginary departments appeared. Fake job titles multiplied. Someone became director of staircase security. Another became assistant deputy coordinator of elevator strategy. Nobody had any idea what was happening anymore. But everyone was having fun. The production moved faster than expected. Scenes wrapped ahead of schedule, morale skyrocketed. Even the assistant director eventually admitted the atmosphere was fantastic. And somehow, despite creating most of the chaos, Weatherly had still managed to avoid spending hours walking silently through the background, at least until fate intervened. Late in the afternoon, one final shot remained. The camera angle required a single person to cross behind the main action. Just one. The crew looked around. Nobody volunteered. After everything that had happened, people suddenly found this extremely amusing. Someone pointed at Weatherly. Another person pointed at Weatherly. Soon everyone was pointing at Weatherly. The assistant director smiled. A dangerous smile. The kind of smile that signals absolute victory. Michael. Weatherly immediately knew what was happening. No. Michael. No. Michael. No. The assistant director pointed toward the hallway. Weatherly looked around desperately. No allies remained. Everyone was laughing too hard. The rebellion had collapsed. The king of hallway avoidance had finally been captured. Weatherly slowly stood. He adjusted his jacket, straightened his posture, and prepared for his inevitable fate. The crew applauded. Someone played dramatic music from a phone. Another person pretended to wipe away tears. Weatherly accepted the moment with exaggerated dignity. If I must go. The applause grew louder. Then tell my story. The hallway shot began. The camera rolled. The actors delivered their dialogue. And Michael Weatherly crossed the background. One time, one glorious time. The entire crew erupted into cheers. The shot was perfect. The scene wrapped. The episode moved forward. And the legendary hallway saga finally ended. Or so everyone thought. Months later, according to the fictional tale, the crew received a surprise. Someone had created a commemorative certificate. It was framed. Official-looking, completely ridiculous. The certificate awarded Weatherly the title, Founder and Supreme Commander of Background Avoidance Operations. The document supposedly hung in his trailer for years. Visitors would ask about it. Weatherly would tell wildly different versions of the story each time. In some versions, he escaped background work through brilliant strategy. In others, he claimed he had negotiated a diplomatic treaty. Occasionally, he suggested the entire event involved international espionage. The details changed constantly. The laughter never did, because that was the magic of Michael Weatherly's presence on a set. Whether he was performing as Tony Dinozzo or simply entertaining the people around him, he had a gift for turning ordinary moments into memorable stories. The truth behind television production is that long hours and repetitive work can sometimes become exhausting. Maintaining energy isn't always easy. Creating dozens of episodes every season requires tremendous effort from everyone involved. Moments of humor matter. They help people recharge. They remind cast and crew why they enjoy working together. And if a little harmless mischief happens along the way, so much the better. The fictional story of Weatherly's great background work escape perfectly captures the playful spirit that many fans imagine existed behind the scenes of NCIS. It's a tale of creativity triumphing over boredom, of laughter transforming routine work, and of one actor using humor to make an ordinary production day unforgettable. Did it really happen exactly this way? Probably not. But that's not the point. The best behind-the-scenes stories often grow larger with every retelling. Details evolve, moments become legends, and eventually the story becomes less about facts and more about the feeling it creates. In this case, the feeling is simple. Imagine Michael Weatherly grinning mischievously while an entire production team tries to track him down. Imagine increasingly ridiculous disguises. Imagine fake departments, fake job titles, and imaginary hallway conspiracies. Imagine a crew laughing together after a long day. That image feels perfectly at home in the world of NCIS. And perhaps that's why fans continue to love stories like this one. Because they remind us that behind every successful television show are talented people who spend countless hours working together, solving problems together, and occasionally finding creative ways to avoid a little extra work, especially if that work involves walking down the same hallway 50 times. And if anyone could turn that situation into comedy gold, it would be Michael Weatherly.